That's obvious. Of course, I admire these two ladies. But what about you?
I would say it's not exactly business, but Kamala Harris as our
Nice.
vice president.
Awesome. And then lastly, a product you can't live without.
My watch.
My phone.
MicroStrategy, of course. Just kidding. Also my phone.
Nice. That was good. Good pitch there, Amy.
Thank you.
But what if you guys could describe MicroStrategy in 3 words? What would you say?
Agile, cheerful, and modern.
Nice.
I would say from my side is modern, is fun, and powerful.
Seeing some overlap.
Love it.
I'll also say fun, innovative. Hopefully you saw our video yesterday on our post, and powerful.
Nice. Great answers. I love it. All right. So getting into technology now, let's talk a little bit about Dossier just to kick things off. We know it's always a hot topic. The first question is one that we get from a lot of our customers, which is, do we have, any new visualizations rolling out? What's going on, there? Can you guys answer that?
Yes, great question. So hopefully you guys have been watching all of the What's New videos that I've been starring in, and you've seen like the fan key, time series, some awesome visualizations. And yes, great news. We have another one for you guys this release, gauge visualization. So instead of talking about it, I'm going to show you it with a quick demo here. So you can go to the Viz Gallery. There's this awesome new KPI section. You can choose the gauge. I'm going to add my metric. And now from the format panel, you're going to have a ton of formatting flexibility. So you can change the gauge shape. I can turn on a needle to point to my value. Turning on axis labels is a really valuable way to add more context. And again, as I was saying, you have a lot of control. You can display exactly how you want it to look on the outside or the inside of the gauge shape. And of course, you can use a metric or use a fixed value to set the maximum scale, add banding, which is, of course, this very important visual cue, like a dashboard of your car telling you when you're low on gas. And just like that, you have this awesome dashboard with quick stats. And you can share, subscribe. And of course, it looks great on Library Mobile, too.
Awesome.
Holly, one more thing, Holly, that we added there that Amy showed, and I think you forgot to mention it. Like when you are adding now the visualizations, like the organization enhancements that you put in or that we put in, those were awesome. So before, remember that in order to find these new visualizations, like, oh, where do I go? Go to other.
Yeah.
And now the team has done a much good job on creating the right categories for them.
Exactly. So if you actually use that was built in our custom visualization framework. So if you want to build a visualization, there's now an option to tag that viz. So it doesn't just get put in the custom section. You can say this is actually a bar chart. So it'll show in a bar chart section for all of your end users. So it's super organized and easy to find.
Yeah, really enhancing kind of that user aspect of building Dossier. So really great. And then also for anyone watching that is a current customer, if you ever want to see, new visualizations in product, just make sure to log an enhancement request. We get a lot of questions about, how do I make my voice heard? And you can actually go to the corporate website and that support page and go ahead and log an ER. But okay, speaking of what you can add to the canvas, I know we did just introduce something to expand the canvas or a little bit more on vertical scrolling. Amy, do you want to tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes. So hopefully everyone knows about our vertical scrolling for responsive design. But as an end user or as a Dossier designer, you also want to be able to add extra vertical space to your canvas if you need to extend your design. So let's say you have this beautiful freeform layout Dossier, maybe it's an infographic style, and I want to add just one more visualization to the page. Today, I would have to readjust and shrink all of my other visualizations, maybe delete something to find space for it. Now you can just simply extend the canvas and add a visualization below it. So just to show you quickly what I'm talking about, let's watch a quick demo. So here I have this beautiful infographic Dossier, freeform layout, and I want to add a multi-metric KPI to the bottom. So I can go to the right mouse click on the table of contents on that page, and now I see this page settings for formatted page. And then I can add an extra, let's say, 200 pixels. Just like that, I get that blank space added to the bottom. I'm going to extend that button bar that I built, and now you can see that multi-metric KPI at the bottom. Super easy. You can always undo, go back, but just as easy as that.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely something that I think makes it easier also, right, to build those app-like dossiers, which I'm going to ask Jose about in a second. But we hear from a lot of our customers that they're starting to use Dossier, right, to build what appears to be an application itself. So we, this team right here got to see this concept of applications from, drawing it on a napkin to actually being built. But Jose, can you tell us a little bit about what custom applications are and, what's new for this release?
Sure, Holly. So applications is a concept that we released. The first release of applications was this past December as part of update 4. And we keep augmented that concept in update 5 with more capabilities. But let me tell you a little bit about applications. So you should think about applications as your personalized experience for MicroStrategy, the way that allows you to tailor both the look and feel and the configuration of MicroStrategy for your own needs and for your enterprise. So MicroStrategy is known for being pretty flexible. But what we're doing now is that we're lowering that learning curve so that you can provide the same level of flexibility, but by configuring applications in Workstation, right? So you would go to Workstation and say, create new application, and then you can determine what options are available or hidden to your users, what content is available to them by default. And our vision includes not only that, right? Not only UI components, but also say that you want to configure how authentication works. Say that you want to configure via API what you have access to from MicroStrategy, right? Or say that you want to have different applications for different form factors, right? You might want to have an application that behaves in a certain way for mobile, but in a different way for your browser or for the MicroStrategy application on your desktop on both Windows and Mac OS, right? So again, in short, think about it as I want to personalize the experience of MicroStrategy for my end users. How do I do it? I go to Workstation, application, and then just follow like really simple editors. You can create that configuration in just a matter of minutes. So what used to take you like a long time or days, now it's hours or even minutes. More than that, as part of, we're going to be talking a little bit about this wholly later on, but one of the major areas of investments that we have right now is how do we even simplify and make the update and upgrade experience even better for you guys, right? For our customers. So applications definitely helps you with that because all applications are our first class object in the metadata. And therefore, like, it's just something that is just persisted. Every time that you upgrade, all the configurations, all the personalizations that you made for applications are part of that update.
It seems that we had a slight little problem, so let's just continue.
We'll be agile, like we said earlier.
Exactly. Okay. So I know that I have to talk about Workstation, guys.
Yeah.
That I'm all up into Workstation. So I just have to tell you a little bit more about the new features that we just released for the architects that are custom groups, transformations, and intelligent cubes. So with custom groups, this is a convenient and powerful way to create new aggregations and new custom grouping of information or sets of attribute elements in a way that it's not exactly the same in the data source. So you don't have to go back to the database administrator to create a new grouping. For example, if you want to create a new region, you can just combine the states and you should be good to go. Then we have, with custom group, we also have a way to create automatic groupings or bands based on a qualification. And each set in a custom group will allow you to have its own filtering based on different elements like attributes or metrics. So it's a very, very useful feature like you can see here in this demo. You can start creating those custom groups on the fly. You will have kind of the same editors that you will have or the same look and feel for the like you have for the derived elements or the consolidations, but you can do, of course, more things here. So you can see here that we are creating a new grouping of a custom group, just selecting the options in there and just making sure that we tailor that content for our end users. Another big feature that we just released is transformations. So with transformations, they are extremely useful for defining equivalences or equivalences or aggregations of mainly for time-based transformations, such as year-to-date or same month of last year or previous quarter. And you can do it by doing transformations that can be expression-based or table-based, for which architects need to be mapping the corresponding columns. Now, architects can design also intelligent cubes. And this way, they can combine attributes, metrics, and filters and publish the resulting data into the intelligent server's memory. That way, instead of constantly going back to the data warehouse to start querying the data again and again, they can also have it in memory and then leverage it for different and multiple reports and dossiers. So after they're adding all the objects to the canvas, they can actually decide if they want to replace, do dynamic refresh, upsert, or insert the data. And also they can see a preview of the data whenever it's being published. So that's very useful because you don't have to go back and create a new report. You can just like see the preview of the data. And then if you actually want to see what's going behind the scenes, you can go to the SQL tab and then verify whatever you have on that query, see the performance of the feature, verify the table's access and how long it took and more. So that's the 3 main features that we just released for this update.
It's a lot, Erica. A lot of capabilities.
I know, right?
And I mean, for everyone watching, keep in mind, I mean, Erica covered a lot, but Workstation is one of the tools that we release with every month. So expect to see new features, new capabilities with every new release of Workstation.
Yeah. Awesome. Can you guys hear me? We have so many features that my computer crashed. So
yeah, we try to make the best impression of Holly. Hopefully we were able to get it right.
So we're good. So I'm glad you guys got to talk a little bit about, what's there for architects, what we're doing. I know we also have a lot for administrators rolling out. I don't know if you guys got to talk about that yet.
We did.
But just in terms of that. Yeah. So let's get into that. So what do we have for the admins? I know we have potentially history list subscriptions, which would be super exciting.
Yeah, and that's again me. Sorry, guys. I love to talk about Workstation. So yeah, we are adding more and more functionality with every release. And for administrators, they can actually send subscriptions now in email cache and now the newly released history list. So with history list, you can specify to deliver a snapshot of the data at a specific timestamp. And this data is going to be delivered in the user's history list. We also revamped the user editor so that administrators can assign users to user groups. They can set up the security roles and privileges. They can set custom dataset storage quota. They can configure delivery addresses and more. But that is not all, because we also added the change journal functionality that is released as a preview feature during this update 5. And with this feature, the administrators can review any create, save, or delete of an object. And they can get it at the environment or at the project level. And finally, another cool feature that we just released is the ability to configure the diagnostic and performance logs inside of Workstation. So you can easily identify any issues that you have in your environment.
So hold on, like you said, change journaling is being added as a preview feature.
Exactly.
So we're not only releasing monthly Workstation, we're also adding preview features. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Make sure that you follow, all the channels that we have, all the social media posts that we add. We keep adding preview features, and this is for you mainly. Like we really want to get your feedback early on, so that when we make a feature GA, it's actually meeting all the requirements that that we have from you, and from everyone else. So preview feature is something really, really exciting about Workstation. So good job from the team on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are very
And then
excited about those ones.
So guys, are preview features like easy to turn on? Like where do they go for those?
Oh, it's super easy. I heard that, Holly Stevens recorded a video for it that we can definitely share. So preview features are super easy to turn on. So in Workstation, you would go to the help menu and then you would see enable preview features. So you have to check that. Now, there are a couple of features that might require additional steps. So we really encourage you to go through that documentation. You should be able to find in our What's New section where we include all the new functionality, all the documentation for all the included functionality with every new release. We also have a section for preview features where you can check additional features for, those couple of things that you might need to do extra for particular cases.
Awesome. Got it. Okay, so all sounds good. We just covered architects, admins, perfect rundown. Thank you, Erica. I'm going to jump back just a quick bit before, we crashed. Amy, I did want to ask you, we were talking about applications, which obviously are built on the MicroStrategy library framework. We're not specifically talking about library so much with this release, but I do know that you had one feature where Dossier authors can now, lock in filter selections for end users in library. So do you want to show us a quick demo or talk about that? Because that's a really cool one.
Yes, of course. Holly has to, of course, ask about library as it's near and dear to her heart. So yeah, the disable interactions, filter interactions in library is a really great feature. And you can think of it in two ways. So one is performance. Let's say you as the Dossier author want to limit for your end user to only say, let's say look at the 6 months of data, the last year of data, but maybe the cube has more, like 3 years of data. Another way to think of it is as a viz level filter for an entire chapter. So let's play a quick demo and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So here I have this dossier. It's on website traffic for all platforms, just for mobile devices, and then just desktop. So I'm an analyst at this company. I'm building this dashboard that I want to share with my team. But today I can go into that filter panel and I could inadvertently change that and change the view, add desktop, when I really just wanted that to be a mobile-only chapter. So what you can do is go into the filter panel, context menu, and just choose that setting, disable filter interactions for the end user. And now when I save, you can see now I actually cannot make those changes, and the end user gets this message. So they know that this was, a design choice by the author. And now that, look and feel is preserved, and I can be confident that they're looking at the right view that I intended.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful, especially if you had like a lot of different filters. A lot of times you don't need all of them, but awesome. All right, so a question kind of for all of you, maybe more so for Jose and Erica. So with each release, we expose new functionality for users in Workstation, and we definitely encourage them to move over to the modern tool. But the question that everyone always asks us is, okay, great, but what is the timeline where I can actually do everything that I could do in Developer, now in Workstation? So I don't know how much you guys can talk to that, but what is your answer there?
The inside scoop.
Yes.
Well, as you know, and as Jose just mentioned, we're releasing a lot of functionality monthly and every quarter, and we are very close to completing the whole architect workflows inside of Workstation. So we're hoping to reach full parity by the end of the year.
All right.
Christmas gift, actually.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Definitely in time for the holiday season. But if I just might add one quick thing here. But also think about Workstation like a superset of everything that you can do with the legacy tools, right? I mean, there's so much more that you can do in Workstation. Even, like with this version that you can create cards. You have like modernized workflows for subscriptions. You have the
environment comparison. You have the logs. You have like cards inside of Workstation. There are so many good things. And also the other thing, sorry to interrupt you, Jose, but
the passion.
It's just like, it's so much better. Like if you try Developer and then go into Workstation, there are so many workflows that are much, much better. The user experience is just like superb.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, and perfect, perfect Christmas or perfect Christmas present, definitely, to be completing all those workflows now in Workstation.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys heard it here, everyone. True Hollywood story. Keep in mind that this will hopefully be there, come holidays if you're waiting to move to Workstation. All right, so next I want to talk a little bit about new capabilities that we have for embedded. So we know we have a lot of our customer base, on embedded analytics, or they have embedded portals. So what is up there?
You want to take that?
Sure. We love to give our customers the ability to just like expose everything that we have in MicroStrategy to customers or to end users that are not really using MicroStrategy, but they have out-of-the-box applications. So we are releasing those APIs each month and each quarter. So we just released the ability to create and update the metrics, transformations, time zone, base formulas, subtotals, and cube objects. So every single time that we release something in Workstation, think about that everything that we work on is based on those REST APIs.
That's really powerful, right? I mean, because it means that if you need to implement those workflows outside of Workstation, you can definitely have them in your own development cycle with your own tools and just leveraging the same set of APIs that we internally use.
Exactly. And now we have the developer playground too. So that's something really, really powerful.
One more thing that is related to that with the applications concept that we were talking about before you crash, Holly. So on that one, you know, when you create an application and say that you define that application to have a Dossier as home screen, right? And then you define what options should be available or hidden to your users. Well, you can embed that application, right, in your own portal. And then if you want to make some simple changes, you can just change the configuration of that application from Workstation, and those changes will be reflected right away, right? So that's another one way, you know, of leveraging applications together with the embedding capabilities that we have.
Awesome. Yeah. And then I think that, you know, alongside all of these new products, alongside all of these, you know, new workflows, a big thing that we do, you know, talk about is MicroStrategy Cloud. I do know that, you know, Mike's team, the cloud team has been, you know, expanding global regions there, but I don't know who wants to talk a little bit about, you know, what we're doing with cloud and why it's such, you know, a great opportunity for a lot of our customers.
I can take that, Holly. So I think there are three main advantages, right? And I was chatting with a team working with cloud, right? And well, I guess everyone is working in cloud right now, right? I mean, cloud is definitely one of our major priorities these days, and is where we're going. And three main things that I see there, right? We all know that security is top of our minds here at MicroStrategy, right? So cloud allows you to get on the latest and greatest versions that will definitely have the latest security mitigations applied to, you know, to those environments. One area that we are definitely, because we want to migrate more and more of our customers to cloud and work together with them to get that migration done in an easy and seamless way, is we're adding more migration capabilities to the MSTR back tool, right? That allows you to get your MicroStrategy environment information and objects from your own environment and then have them restored in a cloud environment. So we've been adding a lot more capabilities there. And then the third is something that I also mentioned as part of applications, and it's upgrades, right? We do have the ability that just with one click that you control, you can update your environment to the latest version, right? And this will also have added more capabilities to make it more robust, to make it more powerful, and to be able to persist, you know, all the different configurations that you might have applied to your environment.
I actually have a fun story for that. So we typically spin up internal environments because we're testing features right as they're being built. And then I saw that button come up. It said upgrade your environment. I was like, no way, this is gonna be this easy. And I clicked on it, and then I had the latest environment. I was like, wow, like amazing job. Like, so you guys should really check it out.
Everyone is working with cloud these days. That's awesome.
It is kind of crazy how, you know, simple it is. I feel like even for a lot of people that might not understand, you know, all of that like underlying infrastructure, it's just so seamless to do. All right, so good answers. I'm gonna get us into Q&A here in a few minutes. One wrap-up question, and I mainly wanted to ask you guys this for fun because I know you'll get a kick out of this. So, you know, here at MicroStrategy, for everyone watching, we do really value creativity, you know, in-house hackathons, whatever it might be. But how do you think, all three of you, that Dossiers push the limit, you know, of creativity more so than we ever did before? So giving you a little bit of a tough modernization question, but kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
I'm going to start. Well, I absolutely love the freeform canvas because it allows you to create like not the boring regular dossier or dashboard that everyone is creating. You can actually include like some sort of like an infographic style with a lot of graphs, and you can just add panel stacks and info windows and really take care of like the whole real estate. And also we are adding so many things as part of the filtering functionality that your user doesn't have to be like super well versed into authoring. They can all just like go in there, and it's very intuitive. So creativity, you can just like do whatever you want to do with it.
How about you, Amy?
I can go next. It's funny, actually. I was walking around our lounge earlier, and we have some cool examples like of old dossiers, actually from like 3 years ago. And I was like, wow, like we have come so far. Like I was looking, like I submitted one and I won one 3 years ago. But yeah, it was like this cool old example. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that just looks like a dashboard. But now when you build dossiers, sometimes they're indistinguishable from applications, right? It literally looks like I'm just opening up an iPad, clicking on any other app. And what's amazing about this is not everyone maybe is either interested or comfortable with, they're like, oh, I'm not an analyst. I don't need to look at a dashboard, right? But everyone's comfortable with apps, right? Everyone's looking at Google Maps, Instagram, whatever it is. So now this is just building in that intuitive, comfortable navigation. So I think that is my favorite part about Dossier's creativity.
Ooh, for me, there's going to be two. One, we care a lot about user experience here, right? And depending on your form factor, it's going to be the experience that you expect from an application. So the fact that you can configure really easy in a dossier, what options are available for you in a mobile view versus, a standard desktop laptop view, I think that opens their creativity a lot, right? And it helps you to provide the right user experience to your users. And then if we combine, the example that I was giving a few minutes ago of being able to embed those dossiers in other applications, then it makes it really, really powerful, right? The fact that you come to a website that might not only be about MicroStrategy, but the analytics content inside that website is powered by MicroStrategy, and it helps you to provide the right user experience. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think just the embedded applications, it's kind of crazy when it's so seamless. You don't really know that it's MicroStrategy right underneath everything. Have you guys seen any, examples of customers that have used Dossier really well, or, maybe it's a story of them, moving over from documents to Dossier?
So I have a good story for this one. So hopefully you all tuned in to my What's New session at World a couple of months ago.
Little plug.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch it.
So yeah, exactly. If you didn't, there's a cool recap video that's live, so you can go watch that, or just you can watch my old session if you want. But you would have seen that we had some guest speakers from our field, so our sales engineers, consultants, and one of my favorite parts was one of our field members had this really great slide and this really great story. He works with customers every day, and his slide just said no more excuses, right? Like he's like, we've been asking for info windows, we've been asking for panel stacks, right? Transactions, and that is planned for this year very soon. So it's just like there's no more excuses, right? This is the time to not only modernize to MicroStrategy's modern tools, but modernize potentially those older workflows and just make them look really modern and intuitive.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love it. I love how we've seen a lot of success stories with Dossier, even hyperintelligence, like a lot of different stories across the board. But we also kind of see how a lot of customers use our different products in synergy, right? So it's not always just Dossier. It might be Dossier and Hyper. There's a lot that you can creatively do with our product. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for the answers, guys. We're going to move into Q&A now. So we have a few coming in live. So we'll start with those. All right. The first one is from Alex. So hello from Latvia. Question, does MicroStrategy see opportunities in the metaverse? And how would you use this space to commercially interact? I don't know who wants to take that.
I can take that one. So we're always looking for innovating here at MicroStrategy, right? We're a pretty innovative company, and definitely we take a look at the latest technologies. Having said that, you guys have seen it, and one of the ways that we define the roadmap is basically based on customer interest and also market trends, right? So if we find the right use case, if we find the right opportunity, it's something that we could explore definitely. And again, like we're always looking at latest technology trends.
And also, if you wrote in that question and you had an idea, feel free to add that, because I feel like maybe you had an idea when you said that. So
yeah, that's true. Like you must be thinking something, so we would love to know it. All right. Next question. Is a selector panel coming anytime soon? And I guess, Amy, you would take that. I would assume it's similar to what we have.
I think that they're referring to, so we do have panel selectors, but they're probably referring to being able to put a selector on the main canvas and have it target the panel stack. And actually, I'm going to a design review later for that feature. I was going to say, don't we have a meeting? Okay. So yes, we heard you. And like, seriously, like we take the cases like really seriously, like that you log. And because of that, and because of you sharing that with your account people, they share it with me. That's why we knew it was such an important gap. So yes, that is something we hopefully will be working on for this year.
Okay, awesome. So we have another one from Alex. Again, we can't, for some reason, the questions aren't actually showing here, guys. So I am just reading them out if you're wondering why they're not showing up. From Alex again about admins. Can admins subdivide partial control to project managers? So I don't know if that makes sense or if we need more context on that, but I guess it'd be
Yeah,
Erica.
I would love to reach back to Alex just to get more context about what specifically he's trying to get at. But with the new applications, they will be able to kind of grant the user specific control to the specific applications.
Keep in mind also that all of the objects in the MicroStrategy metadata, we do have ACLs for them, right? So that gives you the right level of control that you want to assign to different to your different users, right? So in this case, for example, for your project managers, right? That is, we also have we have two things, right? ACLs that are controlling the permissions, the level of access, and also the privileges. And then with the privileges, you can also control what actions you want your users to be allowed to perform or not. So that's one of the major differentiators capabilities of the platform. So short answer, Alex, yes. The answer is yes, you can control the level of access. But as Erica was saying, we would love to get in touch with you and understand more about your use cases and the specifics of the question.
Yeah, I'd agree. Or just at least what that partial control refers to. So if you want to comment back, just let us know. All right. Will MicroStrategy bring alerting to the platform?
I don't know if we can speak to it, but if they want to add on. So we do have this really cool feature in the works. Might be changing the name, but we're calling it Watcher for now. So I've been on some design reviews for that as well. And it's a really cool feature where in Library you can set up, let's say maybe you have a few dossiers that you look at somewhat regularly, but you need to know certain, let's say there's a KPI or a bar chart where you're like, okay, if my inventory hits a certain point, or if my customer status, or I'm a call center and the customer wait time hits a certain point, I wanted to know immediately. So I want to be able to subscribe or kind of set an alert on that visualization and then get directly to my inbox, whatever it is, alert that that data has changed.
One recommendation of that question is same as Amy was inviting you to watch her session at World. One of the best sessions that you can watch from last World is her CTO keynote. And during that keynote, he covered these alerting scenarios that Amy is describing, because it's not about setting also manually the alerts, but we also show is her vision for that, right? And how that's going to be much more powerful in the future. Okay, so I forgot the name of who was asking the question, Holly, but whoever was asking the question, please go ahead, go to our website and watch Tim Lang's keynote.
Yeah, that keynote was really cool. And it was one of the parts of World where you actually got to see what we're working on, which is very kind of seldom. We do lock it down, so make sure to watch it. All right, next question. Their username is Exploring New Places, so that's their name. Are we bringing voice-based auto generation for building dossiers? I don't know if anyone wants to answer that one.
I'll take that one. Voice-based. It is not something that we have in the plan as of today. Definitely, as with any other feature, if we see enough interest from our customers, we will add it to the plan. But as of today, it's not something that we have in our plans.
Okay, makes sense. Another one, I think we kind of touched on this, Amy, but will MicroStrategy continue to bring new visualizations to Dossier?
Yeah, so actually, as hopefully you've seen, again, you can go and search. Also on Medium, we post all of the CTO newsletters. So that's where I mentioned like Sankey, Time Series, and Gauge for this release. You can see the few others that we've released from those newsletters. But those were actually based on all of the internal cases that or external cases that we got from you guys, and surveys that we sent out. We sent out surveys to customers, to our field, and that was how we prioritized the set of visualizations that you've seen. So those were the top most requested visualizations. So I'm kind of right now at this point where I'm looking to see if there's other candidates, and we definitely want to keep those on our radar. So please send me those enhancement requests if there's something that you think is missing, or if you're good, that's fine too.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, next one is about applications from Casey in Ohio. Is there a limit on how many custom applications you can build?
there is no hard limit for the number of applications that you can build.
Okay. So I can build as many as I want.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I'm just going to add on to that question is, I mean, typically how many applications do you think you would have a customer building, or do you have any, examples of that, or does it really just vary? How was that feature built?
So there are two things. One of the major markets that we are growing on is our OEM market, okay? Mm-hmm. And in our OEM market, we have our OEMs creating different applications for their tenants, right? And in those cases, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of applications that they have to build. That's one example. Outside of the OEM market, we see that in the regular enterprise, there could be a chance of tens of applications, right? I mean, because if you think about it, you can have your CXOs applications and your marketing application, your finance application, and your technology application, right? You can divide that either by department or by smaller groups, or even by specific areas of business, right? Mm-hmm. So that's actually one of the really powerful things about this concept, right? That you can create, as you can with Dossiers or with attributes, you can create as many applications as you need.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love applications just because I'm biased towards library because I love that product, but it's a really cool feature. So make sure to check it out. All right. Next question is from Tim. I don't know if we can answer this, but I'm going to question it anyway. Online, I see that MicroStrategy mentions work towards FedRAMP certification in an article. Is there any update on that?
Yes. Working on it, going through the process. You're going to hear more about it pretty soon. We're almost there. That's what I can share right now, but it's one of the top priorities that we have in technology at this point.
Okay, makes sense. And then
I'm wondering if that is like our team.
I know, I thought that too. Our CTO.
Do you think that Tim Lang sent the question in?
I don't know.
Maybe he like plugged it. Maybe we'll see.
I think I saw that we're the only BI tool that has this pending certification.
Yeah. So. That's true.
Yeah, but it's really exciting, right? So stay tuned for FedRAMP. We've all of the teams have been working hard on that. So really excited. Again, one other question about applications that came in from Rachel. Can I have multiple custom applications available to me as a user, or am I limited to only having one?
No, multiple. And quick update also on that one. So when we create any feature, obviously it has to be end-to-end and supported in all the different form factors or devices that we support, right? That includes, again, like the browser, the MicroStrategy app, and our mobile offering. There's one thing in which mobile in this case is just a bit ahead for a month or so. On mobile, when you have access to multiple applications, you have an app switcher, so you can quickly from there switch the applications, for which you have access, right? On web, well, you have a different URL, so you can just enter that in the address bar, and then you're going to go to a different application. But we're actually working also on an app switcher for both the MicroStrategy app and on web, so that right from the same tab, you can switch to the other applications that you have access to. And remember, like configuring access to the applications is just the same as with any other object, right? You go to the ACL editor, and then you say, hey, I want Holly to have access to this one, but Amy to have access to this other one, and maybe Erica is going to have access to both, right? It's just as easy as that.
Yeah, very similar to kind of how if you use Slack, you can switch between workspaces. Super simple. All right, awesome. So those were all of the customer questions that we got. I did have one last question for you guys, just to kind of help our customers know what's happening. How does the monthly releases, how do they work? Am I able to see all of the new features on Workstation, in library, or can I only see them on the desktop apps? How does that work? Can you explain a little bit more for how that works?
Sure. So all of our clients, including Workstation, by clients I mean like the client applications, right? That includes the mobile applications, the MicroStrategy app, HyperIntelligence, both the extension and the mobile application, and Workstation. All of those clients are on a monthly cadence and are updated every single month, okay? And then for when we add, for example, new regions to cloud, that also come like on monthly updates, and they can be done outside of the quarterly releases. the rest of the platform in general, we have quarterly releases. And remember that the 2021 line is on an extended support, right? So there's no excuse for you guys to get on the latest and greatest. And our vision, what we have in mind, like for the future, is that even the platform should get to monthly updates so that we can push all the latest capabilities, obviously, with the right level of the update experience. But our vision is to have also monthly updates for the entire platform.
Awesome. Got it. And then one last question did just come in, and I'm assuming it's going to go to Erica. What is the future of Object Manager? Will that be transitioned to Workstation?
I love that question, of course. Well, actually, every single tool that we have out there, every single product that we have out there are going to come into Workstation so that it's your one-stop shop for everything. And that includes Object Manager. So all those object migration workflows are going to come into Workstation. Right now, Object Manager or the object migration is a preview feature, again, with the preview feature. So you can actually, if you're in the latest update, you can try it out, create some packages and whatnot. And we will be releasing it as an out-of-the-box later this year. And you will have even more functionality. So forget about the old Object Manager because this one is so much better. We are enhancing.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Everything is so much better in the new Workstation.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Well, that was officially the last question. I should ask you guys, though, what is your favorite feature from this release, the March release, if you had to pick one? Well, I have you guys.
I can go first.
So I have it on record.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm going to plug one that we didn't talk about. So it's not necessarily my favorite, but I just wanted to let you know. For information windows, we added the ability to add a close button. So you build one, you can just toggle on a close button. And why that's really great is for these really cool full screen info windows, like a splash screen. You don't have to leave any canvas space. You can just make it the entire full screen and then add a close button. So I think that's pretty cool.
Erica?
I would have to go with intelligent cubes because this is allowing any architect to create the whole data model from end to end inside of Workstation, and kind of like the intelligent cube is giving us that almost there functionality, and it's also much better than the old developer because you can do everything from that editor.
For me, Holly, I think you're going to be agreeing with me because, again, you said that applications is close to your heart. So I've been talking about applications for the past 45 minutes, right? And one of the things that we just added on the latest version is admin level content groups. And what is this, right? So like, I think it was maybe a year ago, more than a year ago, we released a capability on library for end users to create their own groups, right? So you would say dossier A, B, and C, I want to have them as my sales dossiers, right? And you as an end user, you had that ability to create your own groups. But one of the things that we did in the release of Q1 of 2022 is the ability for administrators to define those content groups for their end users, right? So that helps you to have much more control over what are the dossiers that your users have in their library, and also what is a good onboarding experience, right? Because you get access to your new analytics system powered by MicroStrategy, and you want to have those categories already defined, right? Or all those groups already defined. So to me, in the latest release, it would be content groups and how they tie to the entire application story.
I like that
Love
one.
it.
I know. I love that feature too. Actually.
It's tough. It's tough to choose one. Also, there were a lot of other features that did roll out that we didn't even talk about today. So for the full list, you can go to our What's New page and documentation, the website, a lot of different places, CTO newsletter. Just make sure you know everything. Like Amy mentioned, that small one that's super powerful. We didn't necessarily talk about. So make sure to do that. But thank you guys for, talking with us live, especially, it's our first one. So I chose people I knew could be on their toes. So thank you. But if you have any questions, again, reach out to us. We're going to start doing this more regularly so people can talk to product, support teams, etc. But we are so glad you joined us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone.